Hey, everybody, give me just a few seconds to get some things straight. And then we'll start the show. Get in here. Trying to share off this show real fast to my own Facebook page real fast, and then we're gonna get going now. All right, everybody. Let me start my incense because I am seriously picking up a lot of energy. I'll burn some Palo Santo as we are starting this. This is Breaking the Cage. It is Astrology TV with the Matrix Mind Media. And let me put my incense down here real fast. Oh, don't you fall. Thank you. Alrighty. This is, like I said, it's Astrology TV, Matrix Mind Media. And I call the show Breaking the Cage. This is a very incredibly powerful time. We are not approaching for those, because certain people call it Samhain, certain people call it Halloween. We are not just approaching a regular Samhain or Halloween. Oh no. And the energies are much more. You always hear that this time of the year the veil is thin, and there's so much more to it than just that. But before I get into all of that and everything else the Spirit is directing me to tonight, I always like to throw out there, we are all thankful, for one, that Matt has the Matrix Mind Media and that we all have this place to come to find this information that Matt comes out and puts out for everybody. With that being said, you all also know Matt does all of his shows strictly on donation. He will not be bought out. With that being said, not everybody has the money to just give, but sometimes they also want something in return. Remember, Matt does have the sacred stones that he does. You can find that information on his actual personal page. You can find it on the Matrix Mind page. I did not put it on, the information that goes with this video. I forgot. But you can find that and look up crystals, because he makes them with his own energy, not the crystals, but he makes them into necklaces and so forth for you all. You can always find that and buy that. Buy one from him if you're drawn to it. But he also has his swag shop, which you can get off of the Matrix Mind Media website, and it will direct you there as well. So even though somebody else is technically making the products, the t-shirts or the crystals have been made by the earth, there are other ways to support the Matrix Mind Media, and I try to always throw that out there and remind everybody, because Lord knows if you like to watch the Matrix Minds, you like to be part of the community here, it is always helpful to give a little bit of love and give a little help back. With that being said, I have my own stuff in my own business that I do on the side. And before I get into this week and where this energy is going, because I've got so much more than just this week to talk about, as we are approaching Samhain or Halloween, many of you who do follow me also know automatically that I have my other stuff that I do, the astrology charts, the transit charts, the stuff that I do with my clients, or the mentorship / readings, where I book an hour, sometimes 2 hours with people, and we sit down and we discuss whatever it is we've got to discuss, whether it's meant to be mediumship, whether it's meant to be mentoring, whether it's meant to turn into a reading, or a little bit of all. But with that being said, with these energies that are coming up, especially, and people are doing so much shadow work, my friend Kelly and I, who do Thursday Weekly Thunder, which you can find on my page at Thursday night, I believe we do it at 9 p.m., where we do readings for the consciousness live. We do them for the consciousness for free, and we are pulling cards. We're getting into whatever we're being given to give to everybody on Thursday nights when we do Thursday Thunder. Like I said, you find that on my pages. But we also do something that we call Monster on a Pyre. And with it being this time of year, I've renamed this one Samhain Pyre. And because it's definitely being directed. This pyre is definitely being directed with all of the energies and the clean out, because I am feeling just the waste is coming out and the clean out is coming out. And so this is a lot of shadow depth and sanctification to help you move forward. So if you are interested in being part of the collective consciousness for that spell and ritual, which is what I said, the Samhain pyre, you will be able to take part in it and watch it as Kelly and I do it live from my personal pages as well as Kelly's. And we will be doing it live on the 19th, because neither one of us are going to be available when we get closer to Samhain or Halloween. But with that being said, if you would like to take part and have anything specifically for you to help with your own soul growth, your own sanctification, your own shadow work, you can always contact Kelly or me. And when we do that, we do ask for a donation, because we're making a candle directly for you according to what our guides are telling us is needed in that candle. However, if you wish to be part of that, there's a small donation of at least $5 to help us with the candle and the herbs and so forth that are going to go into that, so that we can direct one specifically for you as we do it. I also have a voodoo doll that we burn during the ritual that I make personally, stuffed with herbs and so forth, to help us from the inside out remove what no longer serves us and help us to move forward. Anyway, like I said, if you would like to be part of the Samhain pyre, you'll be able to find that information on my personal pages. And then if there's anything else, if you'd like any readings, any mentorship, or anything along that line, you can also go to my personal pages and we can get you hooked up. With that being said, we are doing Breaking the Cage from October 16th through the 22nd. That's technically what this week is about. However, for those of you who do know me, who have been following me, Graham has other plans. Because he's seeing how much energy is coming out and how much that is messing with people. So he has me directly speaking a little bit more about other information, and then I'm going to bounce back into this specific week. But what he has me doing is highly important because let me pull up my notes here. First thing is first. Yes, we are preparing for the solar eclipse. It's a partial solar eclipse here in the United States, which means we really are not seeing it, but the energy is still there. It still goes around the entire planet. It is still part of the energy. We just are not seeing it in the United States. But after that, because we're going through eclipse season, after that, you have to understand the next eclipse that's going to come up is in November. I believe it's on November 8th, and I think it falls on Election Day. Go figure. And it is highly important because for those of you who have been following me for years now, I have been talking about how we were going to have a recession. I started talking about this back in the 20s, back right when 2020 began. Because they were telling me that we did it wrong the first time. We have an opportunity to not do it wrong this time. It was too much about ego before. It was too much about materialistic ideas before. And if we're doing it right, it should be about soul this time, not about the materialistic and ego perspective. But it will still be a recession. And you'll see, because what Graham kept directing me to before was a Great Depression. And he was like, use that as your example to understand. I kept warning people of this. I kept warning people before 2020 about plague information coming in that was showing itself through the COVID information that we have been seeing. I was warning everybody about Black Lives Matter and how you were going to see a witch hunt. I have been trying to tell everybody over and over again at a very small level, because I'm not trying to put it out in like hysterics, because it's not a bad thing. This really is a wonderful time to be alive. Slow down. He's not giving me time to breathe. This is a very wonderful time to be alive and to be a part of the change that we are going through. However, we are definitely just now revving up the amount of time that we are going to be going through this change. We are about to seriously start seeing the unfolding happen over the next 2 years. Everything you've been seeing before now is just baby time. It's small time, is basically what I'm being given. You are going to start seeing, starting with this eclipse season, a major kickoff in the shifts and changes that are going to take place in your life as to where you will be going in the next 10 to 20 years. And he even has it lined out for me as I explain this. Okay. Remember, first off, eclipses have to do with 6 month periods. So you're doing a reflection as to the 6 months that you have just lived, which then will project the next 6 months when there is another set of eclipses coming in the same sign. And then that energy cannot be redirected again. No, not until technically when they return to those two signs to be redone again for new eclipses, which is approximately 2033 and 2042. You're talking about 9 to 10 years in the future, or 18 to 14 years in the future. This is the time. It is now. However, it is time to slow down and inward evaluate so that you're getting this right, because the next set of eclipses, which come in next year, mid-year, when they start to shift to Libra and Aries, is going to be all about those relationships. The relationships you have with yourself and the relationships you have with others. And this is the platform that's setting it for you to be able to have healthy, correct relationships with yourself and the world around you, your outer world. And what you're going through right now is a lot of, like I said, the foundation to building that, to strengthening it. Because if you're not getting this memo right now, then technically when next year, mid-year comes in and those eclipses come in, it's going to be a lot harder because you're missing the foundation. You're just going to get the slap down. Now, this is a very positive thing, but it has to do with, sorry, he's got me just jabbering. It has to do with getting out of our own way, getting out of a prehistoric, primitive, getting out of primitive idealisms of what we have always known socially and what we have always seen relationships to have been, because they've come from a Piscean energy, from a Piscean age, and we are moving into that Aquarius age. And that means the destruction of all of that Piscean age has to go so that the true construction of the Aquarius age can come into play. There's too much we still have to dissolve and disintegrate first. And this is saying where you're in relationships and where you're in, the society has taught you that that's just the way it is, so deal with it. No, you're not supposed to just deal with it. That's how a relationship is. That's the way it works, so just deal with it. No, we've been taught from such a primitive idea to just get by in these relationships, but they're not necessarily healthy. We're learning how to come back into our soul, into our own fire, as I was just heard, into our own soul fire, and release all of that that's no longer serving us. As these eclipses are really helping us to spiritually grow and helping us to move forward. But this is a momentary energy that we are going through prior to the Solwan energy, prior to these eclipses that are coming in, that is slow down. Do not separate. It's detach, but do not separate. It's actually a rune. It's Isa. Detach, but do not separate. This is inward growth, inward going. You still need to be part of the outer world. You do not want to be detached from it because you will miss the important cues into what will help set you in the right direction. However, this is more of inward pampering time, inward self-discovery, inward body. a lot of what's going to be going on this week and up until Samhain is going to have to do with the actual human body, and I'm gonna come back for that in just a second as well, because this week directly has a lot to do with nerves, like the body, the actual nerves of the body, the movement of the body, and what that is doing with how it's kind of the stagnant energies are coming out. And like I said, I'm going to get into that in a minute, right before I get into the blueprint. But I'm also to remind you, for several of you, you may have something that is returning from approximately 9 to 10 years ago. Whether it's a person, a place, a thing, a situation, something that wasn't resolved or put to rest. If it wasn't from 9 to 10 years ago, most likely it'll be 18 to 19 years ago. We are talking about the year of 2012 and the year of 2003. And that has to do with the way the eclipses move. They move with, every 6-month cycle, but according to their time frame of how long it takes them to actually move through these cycles, doesn't even back out to a good 12 years because there's 12 signs. The time frame of the speed of their movement of the north and south node makes that change. So you may be having something returning, just like when we have retrogrades, which we have a ton of retrogrades still happening. Everybody only wants to talk about Mercury retrograde. No, we have a ton of retrogrades, but we are also dealing with the eclipses happening. And I'm being told, especially through this set of eclipses, you may notice something from approximately 2012 or 2003. Something that is coming back. It probably has not been put to rest, or it wasn't put to rest properly. I just have a fox now standing in front of me, which also says you have everything you already need. You have everything you already need. You just have to go in and inwardly discover what it is and how to make it work for you by understanding the lessons, the signs that are being directed about where maybe you didn't get it quite right the first time around. Okay. Are we good before I move forward? All right. Thank you. Now, before I get into that, I have to pull up my phone because, like I said, I'm being told a lot of this week and what you're going to be going through the rest of October has a lot to do with the actual physical body and having control over your body. I've been warning people for a long time now. If you are not in your power, someone or something else will be. This has a lot to do, I've been warning of this energy with the north and south nodes being in Scorpio and Taurus, about not just coming back into your power and reclaiming yourself, your own soulful redemption, sanctification, your soul fire. But I have been warning everybody as well with these relationships and the people that we keep. And if we're in these relationships because it's a comfort zone, even though it's not necessarily the healthiest of relationships. But that opens the door when we're in these positions for much worse things to come crawling into our aura, into possessional energy. And this is stating right now that our egos are having problems letting go of things that are energies, stagnant energies that are stuck and like trapped in our chakras, and it's trying to find ways out. And the reason I'm being told this is because slow down, be aware of what you're saying and what you're doing, but especially what you're doing. Your body has a way of having, your soul has a way of speaking to you through your body in more ways than what you probably can recognize. And it's not just that gut feeling. It's not just trusting in your gut feeling, because that's one, yes, but the soul has a way of trying to give you signs to help you out. And I'm being directed to go over some of them. So let me find it. I'm sorry, when they get going, it comes very dry mouth and going, and at least he's not using his voice. So I had to put some of this here so that I could know what I'm telling you all. Understand that the limbs of the body, like your arms and your legs, are more or less a vehicle of how the body is making contact with the outside world. Like you reach out and you grab things. It is the most used of the body, even though it's one of those mundane tasks that we overlook. We do it so much that we pay no attention to how important it is. So the vehicles of your body that actually deal with the outer world, it is the most particular parts that reach out and touch, so to speak. Now, let me get back into where I'm trying to redirect this, because that was where I was told to start. No, do not swell up here. Your upper arms, strength to act, but it also deals with fear of being discouraged. Your upper arms, your shoulders are usually carrying too much burdens. This is why I always say that supernatural highway between the heart and the head. The shoulders often will carry too much burdens of what we hold on to. And I'm always saying, if you're holding on to the weight, you're technically weighing yourself down. It usually is dealing with the weight of the world and the fears of not knowing what to do about that. It is extensions. The forearms and the arms themselves are extensions of the heart. However, one part of the arm is fear, is frustration, while the other part of the arm is anger. Anger and frustration. Because it started off with elbows here. And as we move and shift, you're going to find yourself tripping up, is what I'm being told. And a lot of times this is like when you're moving too fast and you're trying to do something and you trip and stub your toe or you twist your ankle. These all have parts to do with the vehicles of the limbs and their extension to the outer world. And slowing down and realizing, especially when you trip up or when you drop something or you turn too fast, slap yourself right into a door, something like that. These are all signs of the soul trying to speak to you in ways that many of you do not comprehend. And I'm being told during this session to go over much of it before I get into the actual blueprint. The forearms are means that attach to your goals, but also hold on to fear and inferiority about achieving those goals. Talking about this. And this is where you get a lot of pain, empaths, when you start pulling in energy, as well as you healers when you start to do healing. I always warn everybody, if you are doing healing, especially laying your hands on people, and you put your hands on people and you start to feel the pain come up into your arm, this is you eating the energy. This is you pulling in their goals, their dreams, their fears, their anxieties, their inferiorities. And I try to warn you, the best thing you can do, Reiki masters, is to have a bowl of water there and to simply put your hand in the water and rinse it, because it's a portal to another world and it helps to clean the energy. And it's something for all of you to know, even if you're just an empath, and I'm sorry to put it that way, but even if you're just pulling in energy, one of the easiest ways to cut that cord on that is water, is to place your hand in some cold water. I'm being told to remind you, knees have a lot to do with jealousy and inferiority as well. When your knees give out on you, when your knees spasm, when your knees start to jam. But knees also speak to you about fear of death. Fear of death of old things, such as ego. And where I'm always claiming, you have your skeletons in your closet, but then we have our skeletons in our closet are things that we didn't heal, that we threw back in the closet so far we don't even remember why they're there, but they've been there so long that they've made their own skeletons in the closet. This is what I'm talking about, the death of the fear of the ego that you don't even remember. And this has a lot to do with your needs. It has to do with the fear of the change that you don't understand. Stubbornness and inflexibility and indecision of where you can't You're confused, because that's what I was being told. Is I have a lot of people who are uncomfortable in their skin right now because of confusion. They don't understand what their bodies are doing. They don't understand the energies that they are picking up, and the tug of war between the ego and the soul of knowing what to do. And a lot of this is just slow down. It's your body and your soul's way of trying to help you regulate the energy so that you're able to upgrade and get rid of the blocks. You have your lower legs, which deals with the anxiety of the movement through the goals, the fear or the action of actually doing them. It creates imbalances when you are having problem balancing, when you're having problems believing in yourself, when you're having problems because you are confused and you don't know what to do. You're indecisive. We also notice that our feet has everything to do with how we feel about security. Why do you think running, when it's fear and flight is one of the things that is said here. Flight has everything to do with protecting you. That has to do with your feet. That also has to do with, the twisting of the ankles. It has to do with feeling like you are protecting yourself with survival techniques and goals to teach you how to complete tasks. I always try to remind everybody, your limbs are very important, but your feet are one of the most important things, no matter where you go in this world, unless you're in a wheelchair. No matter where you go in this world, whether it is good for you or not, your feet are responsible for leading you there. And this is why I say from the hips down has a lot to do with your ego chakras. And it has to do with energies that main 7 chakras of the mainstream nobody wants to talk about. But your feet are ultimately responsible for all things that you do. Your knees are responsible for the weight of the entire body and all the decisions made. Your arms are responsible for everything you reach out and touch and are a part of. And understanding, especially when you have lack of control of your limbs, so to speak, you are having lack of control of your own self. You are having lack of control of the indecision that is going on inside of you, the ego and the inferiority. You need to slow down because your body is trying to tell you where you're getting all bent out of shape. Let me see, was there anything else here before I switched over to the other? Elbows are connected with the strength of the upper arms and the action of the forearm, which is your heart and your ego. Your heart and your head. It's just the way that it all works out. Plus the arms themselves, when we look into the blueprint, have a lot to do with the heart chakra. So this is about slowing down, allowing the heart to talk, not just the body and the ego parts that are trying to jump out and go, oh, and I need to do this, and oh, because you're going to have a lot of that taking place. All right, now I can actually get into the blueprint. Sorry, but I was being directed into that into so many ways. Now, before I get into the actual blueprint, I want to remind you guys, it's not just about the solar eclipse that's taking place either, or saw one that's coming in. You also have Jupiter on the 28th, I believe, right after Halloween, which is going to be moving back into Pisces. That's going to make a major change in energy. Plus, you've got to realize while you're having the retrogrades, you've got Chiron and Jupiter both in retrograde in Aries. Aries is an alpha. It is a beginning spot. It is a beginning of creation and energy. But Aries also wants what it wants, and it wants it right now. And if it doesn't get it right now, or it gets bored with it quickly and is ready to move on. You're talking about the higher self in Jupiter back at 1 degree, at the very beginning of everything. The beginning of the alpha and the omega that is taking place inside of you. It is about to jump back into the universal 12th house. But we're going to be sitting in that 1 and 0, the cusp energy, until the 28th. And It is speaking directly about the biggest and most important part of the brain, the largest part of the brain, which is dealing with how your vision works, dealing with how your hearing works. It is dealing with your touches and your senses, how you feel, how you touch. This is technically usually viewed as a Venus energy, the sensitivity of knowing how to feel, being able to feel, the capability of feeling, the capability of your five senses, the capability of seeing and hearing and tasting. Jupiter right now is overviewing it and is going to be sitting here for approximately 2 weeks on this energy. In retrograde, the higher self taking a good, deep evaluation of where things are at before it goes back into Pisces, where you want to make sure you know thyself so that when you're in Pisces, you're bringing healing. When Jupiter walks back into Pisces, it's bringing healing as it approaches Neptune, because Neptune is fantasy. Fantasy smacks you down with harsh-ass reality. It is magic. It is the ability to step into the soul fire of the soul and create the magic. But in Pisces, it's often saying, I don't want to. Really, that's really what it is. It's often saying, I'm too comfortable in my uncomfortability to see through this and bring the healing. You have 2 weeks of Jupiter moving through this part of the brain, which is dealing with your senses, overcoming that Venus energy of the senses. And really, this is part of why I said the body may get a little bit out of quirk, because the brain is in overdrive and retrograde, getting ready to go back into Jupiter, taking it all the way back down to the feet. And then that's coming into, are you blessing your energies of your walking life and what you're doing with your life? Are you bringing healing into it or not? And we're starting with how we're actually viewing, hearing, touching, smelling, seeing the world. But it also speaks to you about speech, about judgment, about thinking, reasoning, problem solving. But on another level, it also speaks to you about how your body regulates temperature. So these may all be a little bit haywire-y as your higher self, Jupiter, is in this part of the brain, moving incredibly slow, really taking a lot of inventory before he jumps back into Pisces. I'm just giving you guys the heads up. Chiron, the wounded healer, is literally on the nerves of the brain. The nerves is what sends the signals everywhere. The wounded healer. It's called the wounded healer because it's great at solving everybody else's problems, but it has a little bit of problem when it comes to solving its own. So this is talking about the nerves actually kind of working possibly in delay, a little bit haywire itself. You are talking about Chiron, the wounded healer, going, I don't know, should I? Maybe, So don't be surprised by your limbs of your body and whatnot, slapping yourself into the wall and whatnot, not paying attention. But these are all important keys of slow down, self-pampering, self-love, because the first relationship that you can ever have that's going to be worth a crap is with yourself. If you don't have a true high vibrational relationship with yourself, any relationship you have is not going to be any more successful than the one you have with yourself. Now, Uranus in the blueprint at this time is actually on the tonsils. So it's speaking to us. Uranus is in retrograde in Taurus, close to the North Node, and it is independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Asking you if you're in your power or not. If you're choked up because you're afraid to speak your truth, or if you're so busy speaking your truth that you're not even listening to the fact that maybe you're speaking it without fully understanding the subject at hand because only you want to hear you. Uranus is on the tonsils. So you may be noticing throat issues this week, speaking issues this week, dry mouth this week. The North Node is on the nerves of the neck as well as the vocal cords, which is also going to connect it with the zeal point, which is directly going to be dealing with everything that Jupiter is sending it, and then opening you up for higher vibration or lower vibration. That zeal point, I will tell you a million times, deals with the actual spinal cord and when it sends the nerves down the signals of that spinal cord and into every chakra as to where you are on a vibrational frequency, as well as if you're open for psychic attack or not. Empaths, this is a week to protect yourself, to know yourself. Not just this week, but the whole rest of it, all right? Gemini Mars is in Gemini, and it literally is on the elbows, the movement of the elbows. And like I said, this is literally your Mars energy. Mars is your inner SWAT team, your inner warrior, wanting to reach out and do whatever it needs to do. Take up the sword. You may be too quick to act. It is your movement. But are you moving your body, or is your body moving you? This is the key here. The elbows have everything to do with the connection from the soul and the ego, and that supernatural highway that's dealing with the frustration, the confusion, and the anger of where the ego can't be released and isn't being healed. You have Pallas and Lilith, which is on the pancreas and the adrenal system. You have Sirius, which is karma and the threefold, which is in the abdominal, the colon, and the rectum. You have Libra, which has Mercury, Venus, and the Sun, which is going to be literally in your kidneys. So we're talking about relationships. We're talking about clearing out wasteful energy, wasteful ideas. We are talking about primitive, idealistic ideas of our relationships, how we view ourselves and how we view them. And are we continuing to hold on to them, or are we boldly stepping into the great wide open and finding what real relationships are about? Are we removing the waste from our life so we have room to place new? A lot of this is coming in as we go through the shifts that are taking place, not just with Solid energy by itself again, but you have the eclipse on top of it, and then the planets are where they are. So, I mean, it's taken a lot of time for us to get to this point of making this kind of change. And this kind of change is only just now beginning for us to learn how to upgrade. And I mean, seriously upgrade. So it takes time. And I'm warning you, because of the way Grim had me talking so fast earlier and whatnot, is this is bringing in the energy of understanding you're going through this upgrade for the next year and a half. Because you're going to finish off this year, and that's going to end with those eclipses around April and May. And then you step into the next set of eclipses with the North Node and the South Node going into, if you didn't learn the lesson, now here comes the hard part. We're not even at the hard part. If you get ahead, you'll have great relationships in the next year to 2 years as you're moving forward. But there's too many people staying in situations because of comfort zones, because of fear of moving, because of not knowing, and they're not supposed to be there. So a lot of this is about to really start hitting beneath the belt, and I'm giving you the warnings. Now, like I said, it's a good thing, but this is about you wanting to upgrade, you wanting to step into the great wide open and find the real healthier, better world. But if you don't see where some of these changes have to be made, it will be forced upon you. I'm warning you. As we look into the actual astrology for this week, you have the moon. The moon is important this week because the moon speaks of our mood, but it also speaks of our physical body as well as the movement of our physical body and our emotional indifferences as we travel through every other day. Because the moon moves approximately every 2 days in a sign. Now, the moon starts off this week in Cancer, which technically, like I was just saying, is going to be in your pancreas and your abdominal. I said adrenal earlier. It's your abdominal energies. So we're going to be, is this how your digestion is working? Remember, digestion isn't just your food. I tell people all the time when I'm trying to explain the sixth house to people, I'm like, your mundane tasks are things that you do every day repetitively. And the only reason it's mundane is because you do it so repetitively. You don't realize how important it is, nor do you realize that that's where some of the most manifestation comes from. And so we're talking about what you're digesting. It's literally what you're consuming of food and energy. So it's not just about food. This is why I say all the time, empaths carry too much energy in their gut. We're talking about the pancreas and the abdominal energy with Lilith and Pallas. Pallas is Athena, the warrior goddess. She's all about strategic thinking. All right? The moon will be traveling over this energy in Cancer, trying to ask you if you are nurturing yourself or neglecting yourself. And it also is not getting along with Uranus or Chiron. It is not getting along with you coming into your power. It's easier to give it away. It's easier to want to find the balance. It's easier to make, balance than to stand on your own 2 feet and to be able to stand tall. Independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, showing your inventive self, letting the world see you for who and what you are. I'm getting the fox again. Everything you ever could need is already in you, but it can only serve you if you believe in it and you're willing to listen to it. It's not getting along with Chiron, again, the wounded healer, believing in yourself, your character, and realizing the flaws of your character that has kept you stagnant. Then we're going into the next 2 days, 18th and 19th, Wednesday and Thursday, where the moon is in Leo. It's going to be a little bit more ready to bite off people's head, a little bit more ready to say what it thinks, a little bit of word vomit, but very loving at the same time, very from the heart and soul. And that's where people get Leo mixed up. Leo isn't just about drama. It's just they're loud, obnoxious, and they can't help themselves. They spit it out from their heart and soul, and too bad if people don't like it. We're all going to feel some of that energy as we go through the 18th and the 19th. And that is we're having a major grand cross. Almost all of the planets are not getting along in the middle of the week. They're all having word vomit towards each other. They're all disagreeing about how to come to terms with anything. And really, I'm just talking about the moon energy right now. Then you finish off the week from the 20th through the 22nd with the moon in Virgo, on top of Mars, which is coming back into those arm energies, coming back into that elbow energy, the limbs, the heart chakra. And it is going to be speaking directly with Libra's Sun, Venus, and Mercury about your relationships with your mundane and what you are digesting, good or bad. Just giving you a good little run over of that. You have the Grand Trine. Now I'm going to move into more positive energy. You have the Grand Trine, which is going to be going on all week. This is Saturn in that 11th house, speaking with Sun and Venus for most of the week. Then it kind of shifts and starts speaking to Mercury. But then that is also speaking with Mars. You're talking about up close and personal communication, taking action, verbally speaking from the heart or the ego, whichever one is coming first. Are you in control of your own body and your own actions? Directly speaking to illuminating the truth, the sensitivity, of your 7th house in these relationships, how you feel or insecure. Are you speaking these things? And then it's speaking directly to that 11th house, which is your goals, dreams, ambitions. Do you feel like you're being manipulated or supported? This is also your groups, your memberships. So this is speaking to you in a positive way about acknowledging really where you are feeling secure, where you are feeling supported, where you are feeling backed up, where you are feeling that it's okay to take actions and to actually do it and to speak it. But you may be finding, because the sun trips people up a lot, the sun gives the idea that the illumination is always going to be a positive thing, but sometimes, especially with it that close to Venus and that close to Mercury, the heart may have to learn some lessons at the same time. But either way, in the long run, here we go with Fox again, you have everything you already need. It's just about believing in yourself and knowing that you can move forward, that you don't have to be sly as a fox in order to get what you need. If you're upfront, bold, honest, and thorough with what you want in your soul energy, then you are harnessing your energy, not because you have to be push and shove to get it. You have Lilith and Pallas, Athena, the warrior goddess, strategic thinking, Lilith in the 4th house. This is mothering, nurturing energy of your inner emotional security. And are you using that to nurture yourself? The key here is, are you nurturing yourself more than you're nurturing others? Because you need to be nurturing yourself more than you're nurturing others. It's not saying that you shouldn't nurture others, just not more than you nurture yourself. Because this energy is speaking to to Neptune in the 12th house. So are you in denial in any areas of giving so much love, help, support to everyone else so that you can avoid your own self? That's the key here, because the healing is here if you're willing to see it. But we have a lot of challenges this week. Like I said, there's on the 19th, you have a Grand Cross, which is just, and I swear, it just looks like everybody is fighting. So on the 19th, I don't even want to say watch your back. I want to say be in your soul. Be in your soul energy and realize when everything else is blowing up and getting funky around you to just back up. Back up and stay with soul, stay with your higher vibration, and don't get caught up in the distraction, because that's what it is. It's the distraction of confusion and not knowing what to do that's going to be coming out of people. But for the rest of the week, you do have a T-square where Lilith, and it's mainly just Lilith, is not getting along with the Sun or Venus and not getting along with Pluto. So this is your inner emotional security being questioned. Tapping into your source energy and knowing that you are secure in any and everything you do if you can believe in that vibration, in your I am energy. And believe in it within your relationships, because this is showing the outer world that you're ready. But the problem is you're going to be questioned. You're going to be put to the, are you really ready? Do you still have some more things you need to learn here? You're going to be hit with it. And I'm not saying necessarily by a person. I'm saying the energy is going to make you doubt. And this is the time when you don't doubt. This is why I said it's a lot of inward discovery right now. Inward pampering and self-love for healing to get you to that next phase. And when we're doing this, we're going to be acknowledging, where you are or are not ready, what you have been missing. You have Mercury, which is in the 7th house of those relationships, which is not getting along with Chiron. This is the relationships are having trouble showing the true self, showing the true identity of who and what you are. It's not even about being fake. It's about accidentally remaining fake. Accidentally not knowing or acknowledging where you're truly not in the moment, where you're truly not in the relationship, where you're truly telling yourself something that's not what you really want to see it as, or you're being viewed in a relationship in your own eyes other than how someone else is seeing you. Two different perspectives here, and acknowledge if someone's viewing you incorrectly or if you're viewing incorrectly. What you choose to do with that knowledge is your business. But it is Chiron, the wounded healer, saying self-identity and how you identify with the world in your relationships. You have Saturn, which is not getting along with Uranus or the North Node or the South Node all week. And that is not getting along, like I said, with Saturn. So this is rules, walls, boundaries. Setting the rules, the walls, the boundaries with the outer world, the groups, the memberships that you are part of, your work friends that you are part of. And are they supporting your goals, dreams, or ambitions? Or is it, like I like to say a lot of times when I'm doing my sessions, is it more like, the chain of command as far as a boss goes? Like the higher up you have as a boss, they don't want to do the work, so they put it off on this boss, and then this boss puts it off on this boss, and before you know it, it's been put off all the way down to the little man, and the little man has to work on the weekends, don't get to spend any time with anybody, has to work their ass off just to get by, while the big man's out there on a yacht enjoying himself. This is asking you, do you have the ability to realize when it's being put down on you and go, no, shit don't travel downhill. I'm going to push it right back up that hill. That's your problem. Are you accidentally being manipulated because it's just been the way the world has been? That's what I'm saying by primitive ideas. Learning how to stand up for ourselves in our power without being, crazy attack mode, just by going, no, that's not my job. We're looking at our relationships, we're looking at our groups, our memberships, we're looking at our digestion of what we digest in energy, if it's serving us or not. Can we shift it and change it? Saturn is rules, walls, boundaries, and teaching us with the North Node and the South Node where we've held on to the same stagnant idea because we're used to it, but it doesn't help us. Or are we ready to truly start to speak up in our independence, our individuality, our uniqueness, our freedom, and start going, no. It's that simple. Mars is also not getting along with Jupiter, but it's also not getting along with Neptune. And I said, Jupiter is sitting right there on that part of the brain, very first degree in Aries, going backwards away from the alpha, moving out of it, analyzing what lessons it's got to take back with it to Pisces. Because Pisces is our growth center of everything we're in denial of. Shadow work's just about to begin, guys. And I know a lot of you thought you were in shadow work for the last couple of years. We're just beginning. I love you. And if you need to book any sessions with me or have any questions, just find my information down below. I love you. I'll see you next week.